Well, hello, 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 my fellow sensitive people. It is I, your favorite oracle of whimsy, and today we're going to be throwing the cards and we're going to take a little bit of a little look-see at some of what has been going on. Oh my goodness, is it not a curiosity? Is it not a curiosity? Let me go ahead and come closer, my love. Let me bring this a little closer. There we go. That's nice. Isn't that nice? So, a lot is going on. As many people know, Lindsey Graham has passed. It was a surprise passing. He had an aortic dissection. Aortic dissection is kind of um, a terrible thing to die from. John Ritter died from an aortic dissection. It's an interesting medical condition. It often happens at the arch where there's a lot of pressure. That is the area that is the most vulnerable. Can a virus cause an inflammation or an irritation that can lead to a tear of the aorta? Was one of the medical questions asked. Yes, any inflammation, anything like a virus that causes inflammation and irritation could theoretically aggravate that area if you already had advanced coronary artery disease. That area can become rigid and then it becomes almost like glass because of calcification, and then the glass can crack. It's interesting how much over the last just 10, 20 years since I got out of medical school, how much we have learned about coronary artery disease that we didn't know even 20 years ago, about what happens when you throw a clot, or what happens when the endothelial lining of an artery begins to become damaged. Aging being the leading cause of, the leading problem. One of the leading is just growing older. That's why diet is so important. But yeah, traveled. It was a harsh travel. He had to drive all the way from Poland to Ukraine, 12 hours. It was brutal. And that can be extremely hard, even on somebody who's young. And then if you were to catch a virus, COVID is back on the rise. There's explosive numbers. Some people suspect that the numbers of COVID are so high, and yet the CDC may be covering up or not releasing those numbers. So, yeah, this is the correlation between viruses like COVID and having a coronary event. That inflammation we see, throwing of clots, irritation in the cardiovascular system because of a virus. So, could that have happened? Yes. But even without that, if a person has coronary artery disease and they have those rigid arteries, it cracks like glass. I mean, it's been interesting because I've done autopsy and I've done dissection on, well, this is rather gruesome, on cadavers. And I've been in situations where we've removed things that literally when you tap it, it's cling, cling like glass because of the amount of calcification on an artery. It's pretty wild. So, a lot of stuff has been coming out, as many people know. Accusations of him having multiple sexual partners has also come out. I don't know if you're all familiar with some of the rumors that have been going around about Lindsey Graham from people like Jesse James Rose, I believe, is the name of one of the female escorts. She is trans female, and evidently she is not a fan of Lindsey Graham. And at the same time, she wants to thank Lindsey Graham for making her the woman she is today because he basically paid for it. She basically says that he gave her so much money to do the most despicable things imaginable that he basically paid off her student loans. So if you want to read all of that salacious stuff, you can read about Occupy Democrats put this stuff up. It was a conversation, actually, that Jesse James Rose, she had written about wasn't a conversation, she had written about it. All right, so that's interesting because the policies that he promoted were harmful to the LGBTQ AI community, and so um, we say plus. I would say A and I, right? Um, it's unfortunate that he was a member of the LGBTQ community, but he engaged in policies or pushed policies that harmed his own community, and that's very tragic. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do the empath prayer. If you haven't had a chance to do so yet, it'd be great if you could like, share, and subscribe as we boldly try to hit 150,000 subscribers. We're getting close. We're already past 110,000. I believe in you. I believe in you. I do. All right, let's do it. And we're going to find out what else is going on in the world. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively we say Amen. So people wanted to know who's next. They want to know if Lindsey Graham is, Lindsey Graham has passed. His sister, Darlene Graham. Nadine, is that her last name? I'm sorry, I have to go check this. All right. So, Nordone, Darlene Graham Nordone has taken his seat, which is, again, something we've talked about, which is that family members usually will fill the seat, a spouse, if the other cannot complete the duty. This is what happened with Gabby Gifford when her husband had to come in, and he himself became a statesman, and he's doing very well, Mark Kelly. He didn't start off as a politician, but boy, has he become popular. He started off as just the partner of Gabby Gifford, but after she was shot, he became more politically involved. All right, so the first thing, we have a lot to talk about, and you guys had a lot of questions for me. The first thing has to do with, if we can go into a little bit more the expose. I'm going to pull this a little bit closer for my cards. If we can go a little bit closer about any more stuff is going to come out on the expose regarding Lindsey Graham. So people wanted to know, a heads up, if we were talking a little bit about that. Sure, why not? Let's see if we can get any more information on stuff that is coming out about Lindsey Graham. First thing I feel when I go into this energy is I feel like his sister wants to protect his legacy. I feel like this strong female energy is protecting Lindsey Graham, and you have that Queen of Wands coming and protecting his kingdom. And you also have the House of Opposition being Queen of Pentacles, which means that now they have to go through his finances and they have to go through his will. I have no doubt he left everything to his sister. They were very close. He was her adopted parent after his parents passed. The financial stuff is coming in, and people feel like it's tasteless, but there's this sobering feeling like they have to defend his legacy. And so I think that that is really interesting that that's also come up. People have also asked if we could talk a little bit about the prophecy that has come out about the goddess Oshune from the Ifa tradition. We've talked about the Ifa, and we've talked about this idea in the Yoruba tradition, and we've shown you guys some interesting film footage over the last year or so on this idea of the feminine divine, this idea that there is this collective feeling or desire for justice in the world. Justice for those who have been oppressed, justice for those who have been victims of, violence at the hand, particularly women and children who have been victims of violence, at the hands of injustice. This prophecy that there will be a reckoning. Right, that's the prophecy. This is the time of the reckoning. This reckoning is also closely associated with the Hindu idea of Durga, right? Durga, who becomes Kali and is transformed to fight the demon. Both energies are very close to the earth right now. This is a depiction of Oshune. She is the goddess of all that is feminine and divine and sacred. This is the holiest and highest form of the feminine divine that we cherish, we respect it, the beauty, the sensuality, the femininity, reproductivity, everything that's associated with the feminine divine, love making, having children, fertility, honey, the sweet things of life. Her close relationship with the birds and with the angels, which you can see in the background. Birds and angels have a close correlation in the Kabbalah. They're both messengers, right? And so you can see those beautiful imagery she has up there of those angel-like birds over her. But the prophecy is that she is leaving the earth, that the earth is toxic to women, that women are not treated right, and that the policies of people in positions of powers has been for a very long time to oppress the rights of women. And we're really seeing women being beaten into the ground. And in many ways, it's gotten worse rather than better. We have more slaves today than we have ever had in the history of humanity. The conditions for women's rights in many parts of the world is probably worse than an animal. Certainly, if you look at the rights of women in Afghanistan, if you look at the rights of women in many parts of the developing world, life is pretty harsh for the poorest of the poor, particularly for women. So it is this idea that we will see an accounting and reckoning. And that is actually what we're starting to see right now, is an accounting and a reckoning. Now, did I think when we were talking about the justice of Oshune, who's typified by the Queen of Wands, by the way, witchcraft, which is why Oshune has the black cat at her feet. She is the protector of the witches. The sunflower is also one of her symbols. The yellow dress, yellow orangish. She likes pumpkins. She likes oranges. She likes honey. If you get copper coins, if you want to worship her and give her gifts, fans and all things beautiful. But basically the prophecy is that this is the time of vengeance. This is the time when Oshune will take out the oppressors of men, the oppressors of women, that she will take out, well, men and women both. Anyone who oppresses women and children will be removed. Now, when that prophecy was given a couple of years ago, the Babalaos in Cuba, Africa, people that worship the Ifa have been coming back and warning people that you need to get your house in order, that there is an account and a reckoning that's coming, and we are there. Now, in the Christian interpretation, this could be the final days, the end days, in the Judeo-Christian. But both, all of these stories, these archetypes keep returning to the same idea. We need to get our house in order. You need to start treating women like people. You need to start treating children like people. They are not toys and playthings that you can experiment with their DNA and then go shop. I want that egg and that sperm. And a person that's going to grow up and ask you serious questions like, what the hell were you thinking, right? So who's next? We've seen Lindsey Graham go down. Mitch McConnell is out. The Ali Khamenei of Iran is gone. His son is gone. his entire leadership is now gone. Most of the IRGC leadership is gone. And so then they put in new leadership, and now the second round of the IRGC leadership is down. One of the most oppressive regimes when it comes to women's rights in the world, Iran, is now collapsing. Afghanistan is being starved out because Afghanistan doesn't have anybody that wants to invest in them. And Pakistan is trying to normalize and has already deported 1 million people to Afghanistan because it's trying to get rid of their crazies, right? Well, the problem is that Pakistan has nuclear weapons, and so it just takes one crazy getting access to nukes, putting it on a warhead and sending it to Israel, United Arab Emirates, now Saudi Arabia. So not surprisingly, everybody's involved in the war. Let's go ahead and see if we can get some information about where the war is headed and how this is going to play out. Because this energy of the goddess Oshune, who returns with a vengeance and who seeks justice absolute. This is the thing you have to understand about the Queen of Wands that I think people don't get. I will see the thing done. You ever see True Grit? That's Oshune. She will hunt you down and she will see the thing done, right? So it is a feeling when you go into it that anybody who has harmed a child is not long for this world, right? So for that reason, it's important for people to clean up their acts. Putin is on the ropes. I think Erdogan will probably be out too, out of Turkey. I think Qatar is in trouble. Qatar. They're being bombed now by Iran. So it almost looks like a circular firing squad, doesn't it? Which is what we had predicted. That the fire that was used to take out the oppressors will itself go up in smoke. So Trump, Lindsey Graham, who advocated for this, Mitch McConnell, all of these people that advocated to take out these tyrants, they themselves will be taken out. That's the prophecy. It's a circular firing squad, 9 of Wands. Now we have it coming out that there is a fatwa against Donald Trump. They're offering $100 million if somebody takes him out, right? Unalives him, right? So if they unalive him, it's $100 million, right? So we have this energy of 9 of Wands coming in for the oppressor. Those who have oppressed the rights of women and children stand on the ropes. Look, just why would you want to oppress somebody else, right? We're going to be fine. 6 of Swords. We will, those of us who are taking care of ourselves, those of us who are doing what we need to do to make sure that the bills are getting paid and we're living ethical lives and moral lives. 6 of Swords is awesome. 6 of Swords is great. It means many years of smooth waters. As long as you stay on the straight and narrow, you have nothing to worry about, but people are going down. We talked about warnings. We talked about the prophecies. The Babalaos in Cuba, they're literally getting into the water and they're pleading with Oshune, please do not do this thing, right? Don't use nuclear weapons, right? Whatever system she uses. Supplicating, going into the water in Nigeria, in Cuba, here in the United States. Priestess of Oshune pleading with her, please do not leave the earth and please do not wreak your vengeance. And unfortunately, that appears to be what's happening. She wants the bare minimum. Women are people. They're not toys and playthings that you get to discard. Your little trad fantasy. Only it's not, most men don't have a trad fantasy because they need to they can't afford a trad wife, right? They need you to go out and bring them some money and be a trad wife. It's kind of a new super wife, 10 times worse, because you got to go out and work 50 hours a week and bring him some money and look like a desperate housewife when you're doing it. So, but the hope and fear is female power. right? So this was the story of the three goddesses that were playing, and then they rolled out a golden apple. Was that a golden fruit? It's kind of like this prophecy that happened. I think it was Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite dancing, and that is what it references. But female power, it has a lot to do with female power. And then the final outcome is self-awareness. Four of Swords, frugality, pulling back. If you wish to seek the kingdom, if you want to get to the kingdom of heaven, you must first examine the nature of your own existence. Do not seek the Buddha outside yourself. To do so is not to practice Buddhism, but rather an inferior teaching. Everything comes from you. It all goes back to you. Or as Joni Mitchell said, everything comes and goes. Lovers and styles of clothing, but in the end, it all goes back to you. You are the constant stranger. The stranger is you. Four of Pentacles has multiple and dual meanings. Like I said, it stands as a mirror that is held up. The camera card, people who go into film, TV, and camera work often will pull a Four of Pentacles. He holds up the mirror and asks you to look in the mirror and examine the nature of your own existence. And what stands behind him is a beautiful kingdom waiting for you. But you have to pass the test and do the work of self-examination. The other more base meaning is frugality. The Four of Pentacles is about holding your coin. Too much outward energy, too much materialism, and not enough inner work. Do the inner work. That is the warning of Oshune. Meditation. Look at this. People are genuinely scared. It goes back to Trump, right? He had to switch planes because they were looking at trying to track Air Force One and then hit it with a missile, right? So for safety reasons, they had to switch his plane up. I do feel that those of us that are on the straight and narrow, that we're trying to be the best version of ourselves, we're doing the work, we're doing the prayer work, we're doing the mantras, we're trying to be ethical, we're trying to eat a clean diet. I think it's going to be okay with you and me, right? As long as we are not harming other people. Great star card over the Six of Swords. But the issue is abuse of women, sexual abuse, physical abuse, cults. That also includes misusing religion as a ploy to manipulate and disempower others. Well, you need to listen to me because I speak for God, right? The church, right? So pornography would be another one. So devil can be codependency and addiction. It can also be worshiping of false gods or giving power to something, outside of yourself that keeps you chained. The final outcome is the Emperor with the Four of Pentacles. Interesting. I feel like something more is going down for Donald Trump. Remember when we did a remote view a while back? I think it was a couple weeks ago, and it kept coming up that there is a new expose that is going to come out with Donald Trump, and it has something to do with finances, that there is another financial investigation. Anybody remember this? It was something interesting that I saw. I was like, what is that? Why is he afraid about some kind of financial investigation that's going on? That kind of flipped me up. But we can see that that is precisely what has happened. It looks like the judge is accusing Trump of attempting to manipulate the judicial process with his IRS lawsuit and attempted a $1.8 billion. So they're calling this embezzlement. This guy is now facing a serious investigation. And furthermore, the federal judge is calling for investigations and actions against the lawyers that participated. The nature of the suit itself and the conduct of the parties and counsel from its filing make plain that this was an attempt to use the court to provide some legitimacy to an agreement to confer immunity to people and entities affiliated with the president and to earmark billions of dollars from the American taxpayers to redress grievances not defined in the law, the judge wrote. She ordered that her opinion be submitted to attorney disciplinary boards in New York and Washington, D.C. And I think this is beautifully going back. It beautifully pairs with the readings we've seen that there is going to be another investigation. It's very serious, and it had to do with economic corruption. So I just want to take a look at that as well today. Who's next? I'm skeptical by nature, and when I was here, but I respect people's religious beliefs, and I respect people's right to their spiritual teachings. And so I'm an anthropologist, so I study everybody's culture. So when I heard the prophecies of Oshune and the dark days that were coming, or she would leave the earth, and that all these tyrants were going to be taken out, I thought, yeah, right. And then 2026 hit. And I started to realize that there are forces happening in the world that I, as a mere mortal, don't necessarily understand. But the Babalaos, the priest of the Ifa out of Nigeria, these are smart people. This is an ancient deity, worshipped for at least 8,000 years old, probably the same deity worshipped by the Bedouin in the oasis zones, right? The water spirits that the Bedouin worship, because water is life, right? So they got it right? Because that's exactly what's happening, is one by one, in 2026, probably to 2027, all these horrible, terrible people are going down. I don't want to call people horrible, terrible, but let's just say their policies have been pretty horrible. If you just look at their policies in terms of what they have done to women and children and the LGBTQ plus community, right? So I want to see what's going on with Trump with this, because I got a feeling this is going to be the thing that I think Republicans are looking for a way to cut the cord with him and put in J.D. Vance. That's what I think. Y'all let me know what you think, but it just feels to me like they want J.D. Vance. They feel he's less drama. And interesting. Ace of Cups. It's interesting. I'm trying to get into his head. It was like he was paying people. You do right by me, I do right by you. That is what this feels like. And he presents an Ace of Cups. So it could be that Trump was trying to make friends. It doesn't matter if you get prosecuted, because I got the pardon power, so I'll just pardon you all. But it presents as a gift. Like Trump is gifting parts of the IRS. He's gifting parts of the government. He's gifting money from earmarked tax money to his friends. That you won't be prosecuted. You'll never be audited, right? So, Ace of Cups. There is a new beginning. It's interesting. He is attempting to go into areas that have institutions on alert. There's a new beginning or a new investigation. There it is. Interesting that Uriel comes in. Archangel Uriel is associated. Ali is also lion in Hebrew. Wands are fire. It's interesting that this fiery new beginning is coming up over this case. This case is going to potentially come with some problems for Trump. They keep talking about how Trump, he thought he was going to get away with it. He gets his wish. This kind of arrogance, like, I can handle this, or I can pay people off. But what's interesting is that I don't think he's going to get away with it, because the final outcome is Six of Pentacles, and Six of Pentacles is a justice card, the balancing of the scales. This opens up a new investigation. I wonder if Trump even has the energy to fight another. There he is. There's a new investigation into corruption on Donald Trump, and this was it. Like I said, there would be a corruption case. It would involve questionable issues with money. Here it is, investigation into. Here's the investigation. Trump, Gemini male, air sign. That's interesting. That's interesting. It's going to be like a 2, 3 year investigation, and it's another headache for him. It's another headache for him. Um, there is a desire to get him to leave early. There is a growing call to try and push him out. This could be used as a way of soiling or removing him early. Look at this, 8 of Cups. That also I didn't expect. I did not expect this. I did not expect this. That's really interesting. And then final outcome, 7 of Cups. I'm telling you, he is losing his mind. And he keeps saying, well, I'm going to another annual. I have another annual exam. How many annual exams can you have? 7 of Cups, not auspicious at all. 7 of Cups could indicate mental health issues in the clouds, pipe dreams. It was based, when she drew this picture, Pamela Coleman Smith, it was at a time when opium was all over the place. Opium addiction in New York. People were shooting heroin to get over the opium. It was developed by Bear Aspirin. You could literally go to a pharmacy and just buy heroin and shoot it up. So that's actually an opium cloud. The guy is just floating in an opium cloud there. So I am going to go ahead and predict that it's going to escalate into an investigation, that they are pushing to try and curtail or, one reason that they may want him to be out is because they're concerned that he could be blocking or preventing balancing the budget in the future. And they probably don't anticipate those kinds of problems if they had someone like J.D. Vance in power. You know what I'm saying? Because that 8 of Cups, very interesting. All right. Wow. That was interesting. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. That pretty much wraps it up. And we're expecting to see a deeper investigation into corruption with Trump over his misuse of his lawyers with the IRS. We're also seeing that the war will continue to escalate. I'm going to go ahead and predict, as I had said, that the IRGC and the current administration in Iran will fall, and we will see a new rebuild of Iran that is not hostile to the West. That is what they are working for. We now know that Saudi Arabia is in the middle of the war, and that Saudi Arabia will probably be working towards normalizing its relationships with Israel, as UAE has, as Jordan has, which is also being bombed now by Iran. Iran is bombing Jordan, Qatar, etc. And what has happened as a result of this is it's actually created a more unified Middle East that's really committed to removing them. Once they're removed, it's going to further isolate Afghanistan, and it's going to be like a house of cards. Afghanistan is going to have to open themselves up and change their ways regarding women's rights, or they're not going to have trade with anybody. It's going to be very difficult for them. All right, that wraps it up. Thank you all for hanging with me. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can find all the information below this video. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Much love.